Okay, let's talk about what everybody's talking about. Trump fired off some missiles. Everyone seems to be very jazzed about this on TV in the last 24 hours. Let me add some facts to it. First of all, I'd like to mention that he's really sliding on the fact that on Monday of this week, the Trump administration told Assad, you know what, we don't really care what you do, whether you stay, whether you go. So maybe that emboldened him to do this on Wednesday. That's number one. Also, the Syrian regime has dropped 12,958 barrel bombs just last year. I guess chemicals are worse, and they certainly are potentially worse, but I guess if you die, you die. And the U.S. in 2016 dropped 12,192 bombs of our own in Syria on the other side of the war, because now we're bombing both sides of a war. What happened that we got to wipe out ISIS first?
Well,
I'm just asking.
I would love to respond to that. It is a misconception that Assad is on the opposite side as ISIS. They are part of the same side. That's the truth. You hear Assad saying that he's attacking ISIS. That's not true. He's attacking civilians, and that's what you saw with these chemical weapons attacks. Now, I agree with you. It's bewildering, and I've said this already, but it's bewildering that we have a president who was opposing Assad at one point, and then 24 hours later, he's bombing him. That's incredible. But
they are on opposite sides. Come on.
No, they really aren't any.
Really? So yes. if we had bombed, instead of bombing that airfield, which by the way is up and working today, yeah, if we had bombed the presidential palace in Damascus, because he's such a horrible person who killed beautiful babies that we had to actually take him out, that would not be good for ISIS?
Well, look, it's just more complicated than that, Bill. But you're really, if you're buying into this idea that they're on opposing sides, you're buying into Assad's and Putin's rhetoric. It's just not true. It's just not true. Any expert will tell you.
It is true.
It just isn't.
It is true. They're fighting,
yeah.
Ted?
Well, it's not that complicated. Assad, what Assad did was horrific with the use of chemical weapons.
Yes.
But the Constitution does not allow the President of the United States to engage in unilateral acts of war without congressional approval. Congress never authorized him.
And let's not forget, Obama begged them to do it. When they say Obama did nothing about the chemical weapons, Obama did something. He went to Congress, and he said, give me the authorization. And they went like,
So Obama tried to follow the Constitution.
Right.
What Trump did yesterday was illegal. You can't just fire cruise missiles into a country that has not attacked the U.S. without congressional authorization.
Look, this is, I think this is a bewildering situation in every which way. That Donald Trump changed his position should not be bewildering. The man has had more positions in the Kama Sutra on just about everything. But it is very confusing to wake up today and hear folks like a John McCain, like a Lindsey Graham, like an Evan McMullin, like an Navarro actually be in agreement with what he did. It's even more confusing for those that supported him because he said he wasn't going to do it. Now, look, when he was campaigning, I thought he was a racist, misogynist, lying pig. I still think he is a racist, misogynist, lying pig, but he's also my commander-in-chief.
And he just violated the Constitution.
I don't think so. You know, we can argue about that, and we are a deeply divided country over that, but for too long, we've been looking the other way in the face of genocide. And there's a large part of America that wanted action. There's a large part that didn't.
What worries me is that, you know, we're in the phase now with Donald Trump of, oh, what does this button do? That's not good. And also, during the campaign, not just he, but a lot of his surrogates talked about, you know, what's the use of having this awesome military if we don't use it? Including nuclear weapons. I heard them say that. Why have them if we don't use them?
Well, look, but I think your point about, you know, what do we do with this button? The good news is that he, amongst a lot of bad people he surrounded himself with, he surrounded himself with a very good Secretary of Defense that was overwhelmingly confirmed by the Senate with Democrat and Republican support, and who does know what he's doing.
And a moron Secretary of State. Have you seen this Rex Tillerson guy? Talk about a deer in the headlights. Talk about a guy who is so sorry he took this job. He's like, fuck. I didn't know I had to, like, talk to people and make eye contact and, like, explain policies and have policies.
Or be second fiddle
just
to.
thought it would be a nice title, Secretary Tillerson.
Or be second fiddle to Secretary of Everything, Jared Kushner.
Right. Right.
Who's now fixing Iraq. He's now fixing the Middle East. He's skiing in Aspen. He's reinventing government, and he's going to galas with Ivanka.
At the same time, all at the same time.
So let me ask our liberal here on the panel, how does the fact that he went up against Russia, Donald Trump, fit into the liberal idea that he was installed by Putin as a stooge to do whatever Putin wanted? This is not what Putin wanted.
If you're facing possible collusion with Putin, you might just want to distract people.
So you're pretty big distraction. That's what you think this is? I'm just asking. It might be.
It might be. We don't know. I've learned to not predict Donald Trump.
Right.
But in this case, what he did was not only unconstitutional, there's no strategy. We don't know what we're doing in Syria, how long we're going to be there. He's got U.S. ground forces there now. They're more at risk of being attacked because he just attacked Assad. He has to tell the American people what we're doing in Syria. He has not done that yet.
Well, I mean, his tweets before this, Syria is not our problem. This is in 2013. Stay out of Syria. Do not attack Syria. President Obama, do not attack Syria. To our foolish leader, do not attack Syria. If you do, many very bad things will happen.
That's right. He should follow his own advice.
Okay.